Thich Nhat Hanh explains that true happiness is available in the present moment, and it does not depend on external achievements, possessions, or ideal conditions. Most people believe they must change something in their life before they can be happy, earn more money, solve all problems, or become a different version of themselves. However, Thich Nhat Hanh teaches that this way of thinking postpones happiness endlessly. He introduces the idea that happiness is made of peace, freedom, and mindfulness. When the mind is calm and free from agitation, joy naturally arises, even in simple moments. A mindful breath, a mindful step, or the ability to sit quietly can bring more happiness than material success. The chapter also emphasizes the role of stopping. We often run through life trying to fill our days with activities and stimulation, but this running prevents us from touching the wonders around us. The sunrise, the presence of loved ones, the miracle of having a body that can breathe and move. By stopping, we give ourselves the chance to recognize these conditions of happiness. Thich Nhat Hanh also discusses habit energy, the inner force that pushes us to hurry, worry, and react without awareness. This habit prevents us from enjoying the present. Mindfulness interrupts habit energy and allows us to choose peace instead of restlessness. A key practice in this chapter is mindful appreciation. When we look deeply, we see that we already have many conditions for happiness: our senses, our environment, our relationships, and even our challenges, which help us grow. Recognizing these conditions is a powerful form of gratitude that transforms suffering into understanding. Happiness is also linked to interbeing. When we understand that we are connected to all beings, compassion naturally expands. Helping others, speaking kindly, or offering a smile generates happiness for both ourselves and those around us. Chapter 4 explores one of Thich Nhat Hanh's most important teachings: suffering is not an enemy, but a teacher. Instead of avoiding suffering, suppressing it, or judging ourselves for it, we should learn to hold it gently with mindfulness. Only then can it transform. He begins by explaining that suffering is a natural part of being human. No one can escape painful emotions: fear, sadness, anger, loneliness, and disappointment. But suffering also contains the seeds of understanding and compassion. Just as a lotus flower cannot grow without mud, happiness cannot exist without suffering. Recognizing this helps us stop resisting difficult emotions. The core practice presented in this chapter is embracing suffering with mindful breathing. When painful feelings arise, we usually try to push them away or distract ourselves. Thich Nhat Hanh teaches the opposite approach. Acknowledge the suffering, breathe with it, and treat it with the same tenderness you would offer a crying child. This attitude calms the pain and opens the door to insight. He also explains the difference between primary suffering, the initial pain, and secondary suffering, the mental stories we add: fear, blame, judgment. Mindfulness reduces secondary suffering by bringing us back to the body and the present moment. Another essential idea is that suffering is shared. When we suffer, we often feel isolated, but everyone around us also experiences loss, fear, and uncertainty. Seeing the universality of suffering helps us develop compassion for ourselves and others. Thich Nhat Hanh then introduces the practice of looking deeply. When we investigate the roots of our suffering with mindfulness, we often discover misperceptions, wrong ideas about ourselves or others. Seeing clearly dissolves the suffering at its root. The chapter also addresses the importance of creating a supportive environment.
The Art of Living, Chapter 5, True Love ***. True love is one of the deepest forms of human connection, and in this chapter, Thich Nhat Hanh explains that real love is very different from what we are usually taught. He says that love is not about possession, control, or emotional hunger. True love is a practice. It is a skill we develop through mindfulness, understanding, and presence. He explains that real love is built on 4 essential elements. The first element is loving kindness. Loving kindness means the genuine wish to bring happiness to another person, but we can only bring happiness when we truly understand what the other person needs. Sometimes we think we know, but our idea of happiness may be very different from theirs. Loving kindness invites us to listen, to ask, and to be present so we can understand what actually helps them feel safe and joyful. The second element is compassion. Compassion is the ability to understand and transform suffering in ourselves and in others. When we love someone, we want to understand the roots of their pain. We want to know what they have gone through, what they fear, and what they long for. Compassion grows when we listen without judgment and when we stay present during difficult moments. With compassion, love becomes a source of healing instead of pressure. The third element is joy. A love that does not bring joy is not real love. Joy arises naturally when affection is free, spacious, and grounded in mindfulness. When love becomes heavy, demanding, or full of fear, it loses its true nature. Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us that we need to cultivate joy within ourselves through gratitude, presence, and simple moments of peace. When we nourish our own joy, we can offer it to others with an open heart. The fourth element is inclusiveness. Inclusiveness means a love that is spacious like an open sky. It welcomes differences instead of rejecting them. It brings people together instead of dividing them. When we practice inclusiveness, we give space to the people we care about. We allow them to grow. We allow them to change. True love is never a cage. It is a place of freedom and trust. Thich Nhat Hanh also explains that communication is one of the most important nutrients for love. Without mindful communication, even strong relationships become weak. He teaches two powerful skills: deep listening and loving speech. Deep listening means listening without interrupting or preparing your response. It means listening to understand, not to judge. Loving speech means speaking gently, honestly, and with the intention to heal, not to blame. These two practices can transform conflict into understanding. A central teaching of the chapter is that to truly love someone, we must first understand their suffering. Every person carries hidden wounds. Every person has stories, fears, and memories that shape their behavior. When we look deeply into someone's suffering, we naturally become more patient and more compassionate. Understanding suffering allows love to grow deeper and more stable. Thich Nhat Hanh also reminds us that love begins with ourselves. If we do not take care of our own emotions, we will expect others to fix them for us, and this creates pressure. Self-love means recognizing our own suffering, breathing with it, and taking gentle care of it. When we are stable inside, we can offer stability to the people we love. The chapter ends with an important truth. There is no true love without freedom. Freedom means that both people can be themselves, follow their own path, and feel respected. Love that limits or controls is not real love. Real love gives space, it trusts, it allows both people to grow in their own way. So in the end, Thich Nhat Hanh describes true love as a living practice made of kindness, compassion, joy, and freedom. When we cultivate these qualities inside ourselves, our relationships naturally become deeper, healthier, and more peaceful.